class, so thank you so much for completing those surveys and for giving me some feedback on what you think would be most helpful to help you as the course progresses. So one thing that you guys really liked overall was the videos, and you asked for some more of them. So I just wanted to check in with you today, and I'm sorry, you probably hear my son in the background. I have a 6-month-old and I have a 3-year-old, so I apologize for that. But one of the things that I wanted to check in with you today about was just, I think some of you are overthinking this and you need to simplify your approach to your plan. So for example, if you want to say something like television has negatively affected the American population, that is a strong statement that requires proof, which makes it a persuasive thesis statement. From there, all you're doing for your 3 points is breaking it down into subcategories. So if you say television has negatively affected the population, right, you can think of how or who. So let's break it down by who. Let's talk about one paragraph. Television has negatively affected children. In that paragraph, you would exclusively discuss the impact on children that is negative because of television. You are not going to talk about educational programming and the potential benefits. You are exclusively going to stick to the negative impact. Let's say the second paragraph. You may talk about relationships. You might say that television has negatively impacted people in relationships, like couples. Now, there has not been anything that we've read that really supports that. Although when we read about the family from Marie Wynn, it seems there's an inference that because of the way mom and dad are spending time when they get home from work or whatever it is, that they're not really having quality time. But this may be a great opportunity for your interviews to get information about how the television affects couples. So you've got children, you've got couples, and maybe your last one would be young people, like teenagers. How is the television negatively impacting developmental, age of teenagers? And you can talk about video games or caring more about what's on the TV than, being a part of their social circles. So that's one idea of how to break this down. Let's say you wanted to do something else. Let's say you wanted to write a paper about how childhood pastimes are increasingly moving indoors. And so you want to make this statement, persuasive statement, that childhood pastimes are moving indoors. Okay, great start. Persuasive thesis statement. Now we have to break it down. So let's ask the question, why? So that we can provide reasons to prove that it really is moving indoors. Reason number 1. We can say that, and Cochrane, Ullemacher, all of them have kind of worked through this stuff, even Wynn. So you might say something to the extent of parents prefer to keep their children inside. And in that paragraph, you're going to be able to discuss why parents prefer to be inside. The idea that they see it as a safer option, that they like that it's contained, that maybe they actually see great benefits to certain shows or certain programs or certain computer, like ABC Mouse. I know that came up in a couple of our discussions in the past. Now, that's your first paragraph. Second paragraph, another reason why childhood is moving indoors. Well, maybe children prefer indoor activities. In that paragraph, you're going to show the variety of stuff that children can do indoors and what appeals to them. 2 paragraphs. Your third paragraph may be because it's hard to get outdoors. And maybe that paragraph is not necessarily about preference, it's just about lifestyle. When you've got 2 working parents and there isn't that natural neighborhood watch, and there isn't that time where kids can just go outside and play before dinner or whatever it is, it becomes more difficult. And so it's just a convenience thing. It's not about preference, it's about convenience. Now that's an example of breaking down one idea into 3 reasons. So I just want to encourage you guys, if you're having difficult, and I'm sorry again about my son, if you're having difficulty with approaching this, if you've gotten feedback from people and you're still kind of confused, simplify your approach. A thesis statement, topic sentences, they should be simple. If they're not simple, you're pigeonholing yourself into having to prove something very specific that's going to be difficult. Because whatever you say this paragraph is about, you have to be able to write an entire paragraph about. You have to be able to use details from the research, from the readings, from your interviews, from your own personal experience. And if you say something like, just to give you an example of something that I've seen, if you say something as specific as television is making children, more aggressive or something like that, where are you going with that? It's hard. Or if you say something like children aren't eating dinner together anymore, that's one point. You can't develop an entire paragraph around the idea that families aren't sitting down to dinner anymore. That's just one point. If you say that family rituals have changed, 1 point. So be very careful in not taking a detail and making it the focus of a paragraph. You want the details to be in your paragraph as supporting evidence for a bigger idea that you have. Just to throw one more idea out there for you. Let's say you want to do something about how technology is affecting children. So you might say something like, the increase of technology with young people has had a negative impact on them. Okay, now you have a couple ways that you can look at this. You can look at it as their health. How has it impacted their health? And that could have something to do with being sedentary, sitting for long periods of time, snacking for long periods of time during this sitting activity. You may have something to say about socially. Maybe they're having more difficulty making friends and getting out there and having face-to-face conversations. You may even say something about educationally. As long as you can support it, you can say it. But you want to keep the main ideas in the paragraphs big. You don't want them to be details. So in that paragraph, right, in that essay where you're talking about how technology has negatively affected children, what do you not want to do? You don't want to start with the obesity rate in America has significantly increased. That's not why the technology is affecting children. That's just a small detail. And that needs to be put together in a much bigger reason. So if you say it's impacting their health, if you build this scaffolding that explains that the sedentary behaviors have led to poor eating choices and poor exercise options, and that has led to an obesity, now as a supporting point, you can talk about the obesity rate in America. But you can't start with that because that's not a reason that technology has negatively impacted young people. So I hope this was helpful to you. I really look forward to reading your essays as you post them. And if you need help, please use the Q&A. If you have any questions that are not of a personal nature meaning an attendance issue, an extension on something, those are personal. But if you just need a question answered about the course, please use the Q&A because that is the most helpful space. And if you have not yet done the survey, please do the survey because I'm very interested to hear what you want and what you need, and I would like to be able to provide you with that. So it was great talking to you all today, and I will see you online. Bye. Happy writing.